Hello again. I'm here to talk to you about our second part of the discussion on the tall target. On part one, we talked about the historical background that Lincoln had been elected as a very unpopular president, both in the North and the South, gaining less than 40% of the popular vote, and it was only because of a huge split in the Democratic Party that he was able to get enough electoral votes to put him in office. It also talked about the fact that the film takes place at the point in time when Lincoln is on his way by train secretly to give a speech in Baltimore prior to his inauguration. Now, let's discuss in part two the film itself, what takes place to a degree, how the characters interact. What I'd like to say is that the central character, again, ironically, Dick Powell playing Detective Sergeant John Kennedy of the New York City Police Department, who is out to save Lincoln from assassination, is a very smart man. He's very resourceful. He's very brave. And during the course of the film, he carefully looks at the surrounding characters, Southern sympathizers on the train, the characters on the train. A Northern colonel of military who's actually a businessman and a Democratic politico. You also have a slave girl who, at that point in time, is one of those characters that is considered part of the Southern family. You have a West Point lieutenant who is resigning to go join the Army of Virginia, and his sister. It's also interesting to note that there are discussions as they go through, and Kennedy winds up on the train. He gets in a fight, which is excellent. It is a brilliant action set piece. It actually foretells some of the action films that we grew up with in the 70s and the 80s. Very action piece. Between the character Leif Erikson and the character of John Kennedy under the wheels of a train getting ready to pull out of the station, masked by the steam pouring from the locomotive, so that the characters are obscure. You see the fight. The fight's beautifully staged, and the Northern colonel comes to the rescue of Kennedy, shooting and killing the bad guy. And this leads to the fact that Kennedy, who doesn't have a seat, his ticket was stolen, doesn't have a seat on the train, the colonel offers to share his compartment with the John Kennedy character, saying he's sympathetic to what the man's doing. But again, if Lincoln were to take office, why, it would just disrupt business. So you've got Southern sympathizers and the issue of slavery, which plays in it, which wasn't the major issue, as I've stated before. And you've also got now the business aspect, which was a true aspect of what was going on. It was afraid on the part of Northerners that their routine day-to-day business was going to be interrupted by a civil war. And at this point in time, as Lincoln is on his way to be inaugurated, 7 states have already, as I said, seceded from the Union, which the prior president, James Buchanan, refused to accept. He ignored it, basically pretended it didn't happen, and just left the issue to be resolved by the incoming new president, Lincoln, which everyone knew as soon as Lincoln got into it, there would be a war to force these people back into the Union. So that is about where we're at. The train's on its way. Kennedy is analyzing these interesting characters. The screenwriters are very, very astute in us catching bits and pieces of realistically sounding dialogue for that day and age of characters pro and con the incoming president. Some stating from the North that they just as soon see the man shot and killed to avoid a war, to avoid that disruption. And this is where it plays out as, again, Kennedy starts putting piece by piece together. One of the things he ironically stumbles into is a high-powered rifle that the Southern West Point lieutenant has, along with a telescopic sight. And when questioned about it, the Southern officer says that he's never had a telescopic sight for his rifle, which is, of course, the big clinker right here, and Kennedy picks up on it quickly. But it's ironic that the whole discussion, and when you get into this discussion of the assassination of Lincoln at this point, again, a full 13 years before 1963, 12, 13 years, they're talking about a high-powered rifle being used to assassinate a president of the United States with a telescopic sight. Forewarning, foretelling anyone? So it's a very interesting point. The points consistently are brought out. The action is very good. The detective work is very good. Anthony Mann directs it very deftly, building the suspense from sequence to sequence. And revealing the characters, the bad characters, piece by piece, but yet putting in the same Hitchcockian context that each time Kennedy reveals some of this, there's nothing he can do about it. He's on a train, he's on a limited place, even when he does get to a local station, he's automatically accused. He's accused of being involved in the death of his old partner, and the local cops try to arrest him. He has to escape from them. He has to get back on the train. He has to then work his way back up to stopping the assassination. As I said, this is an excellent piece of film work. It's a film that, for pure entertainment value, I personally would give it 5 stars easily. For the historical accuracy, again, 5 stars. And it's a film that you watch, you enjoy the revelations of the plot, and you enjoy the way the history plays into it. And so that's about it. That's about what I'm going to say for The Tall Target. I want or would appreciate thumbs up here. That always makes a guy happy. But I would appreciate more if I have some comments after people have seen the film. Watch the movie, enjoy the movie, and then tell me what you think about it, because I have no problem entering into a discussion with anyone who has questions or comments about The Tall Target. And again, later I'm going to do another one of these dealing with another interesting film, historically based films. This one from about 2006. And is a take on Fletcher Neville and Charles Bailey's 7 Days in May, about a coup attempt to overthrow the President of the United States. But in this version, which was made by HBO and is called The Enemy Within and starred Forrest Whitaker, the good guys and the bad guys, it's really interesting to see who they turn out to be, especially in the political tempo of today's age. So I thank you very much for listening to this, and I hope you enjoy it. So have a great day, and I look forward to talking to you again. And how the hell do I save it? Okay.